Well, I'm Michelle Alvarez, and I'm the current president of the School Social Work Association of America board. And one of the things I wanted to highlight is some of the areas of our strategic plan that we're working on right now to give you an update on where we are in that process. So one of the goals of the strategic plan then is standardization for the profession. And as you know, that's a challenging one for us. And I don't mean us, SSWAA, but I mean us as a profession. And so I've brought to you today the chair of our Eligibility Requirements Committee. And would you please introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Jen Murphy. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Social Work at the University of Texas at Arlington, and I'm co-chair of the Eligibility Requirement Task Force.
And that's a mouthful to
I
say.
know, I get tickled every time.
It is. So I know you've had a challenging task over the first year. So this was the first year of the task force coming together, and their goal was to try and identify what eligibility requirements might be.
Right.
So what has been the most challenging part of that?
Yeah, I think the most challenging, which I'm sure most people know, is that every single state has very different requirements for what it looks like to be a school social worker. And that has taken us a lot of time to sift through each state, what their requirements are, what that looks like, and try to identify different quote unquote categories that we want to look at when we talk about finding a gold standard of eligibility for practice.
Yeah, I can imagine that was very hard. So where is the task force right now in developing and finalizing standards?
Yeah, so we've done as much as we can so far. We have, like I said, done an analysis of the landscape of all states to see where they stand with eligibility requirements. We've sifted through them, identified different themes or categories that we want to make sure to move forward. And what we're doing right now with the conference is to continue to identify different state stakeholders and leaders to get their feedback with the intent of taking it, utilizing the feedback, finalizing as much as possible, to then send out to the entire SSWAA membership to get practitioner feedback. Because at the end of the day, the practitioners are the ones who are in the field and have experienced getting these jobs and gone through the eligibility requirements, so we want to see what they have to say.
Awesome. And then what will happen after that? I know that it'll go out for public review to the membership.
Yes.
And then it will go to the board for review. And then it will get finalized. And then what are your thoughts on what would happen next?
Yeah, so in April, May. So in April and May, our goal is to begin getting feedback from membership, to then have it reviewed by the board in June. So after that, our goal is to give these recommendations for eligibility requirements out to state boards of education in hopes that they can use this as a reference for what we would see as an association as the quote-unquote gold standard.
And you can see why it's important to get member feedback and an opportunity for you, the membership, to get involved in shaping that process. So things that members can be doing now is they can, respond.
Yeah, absolutely.
To public review. Other thoughts on what they could do?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think the first step is to be on lookout from any communication from SSWAA as we begin to get this, our draft out to membership to get some more feedback. And then later in the summer, early fall, when our requirements are going to be sent out to the state boards of association, I think that's when membership really comes into play, right? I think it's one thing for our association to send out the requirements as a recommendation, but it's another to have active school social workers communicating with their district leaders, with other state leaders, with their supervisors, and advocating for these requirements as well at the state level.
Wonderful. So tell me what it's been like being on the task force.
Yeah.
How long have you been a member?
Of SSWAA?
Yeah.
I've only been a member of SSWAA for a year. Before I went into academia. I worked as a school social worker. And unfortunately, my district didn't provide any funding to be a member, so I was sort of delayed in getting active. And my goal was to really, as soon as I became a member, find ways to become active and engaged as best I could to make an impact. And it has been fantastic so far. SSWAA has a really great structure for committees and task forces where there's always a co-chair of more of a researcher person, that would be me, and Ken, who is my co-chair as a practitioner, a very experienced practitioner, which has been such a good opportunity to learn from him, learn from all of the folks in our task force, because we all come from different states with different requirements and different experiences. So that's been a really good step in my own career, and hopefully this task force is going to do a lot for the association as well.
Okay. Are there any tips you would like to share for members who are interested in joining committees or task force?
Yeah, I mean, I think the state conference, the All-State, the national conference is a really good opportunity to meet new people, to network, to learn about different opportunities. And I think I just got engaged by reaching out to SSWAA itself to say I want to be more involved. How can I do that? I think I lost track of the question.
Nope, that was the question.
Okay,
and I
good.
think that's the important point. If you're interested in volunteering to be on a committee or a task force, just email us at contactus@swaa.org and say, hey, I want to be on a committee. What are the possibilities? And one of us will get back to you and tell you what the possibilities are so we can match your interests with opportunities at SSWAA. Thank you for sharing your experience.
you.
I'm so excited about this because standardization in our profession is challenging and we have to take it piece by piece, and this is a huge piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And I think standardization is a big piece of how we can advocate for the field itself at a grander scale. So I'm excited to see what comes from it.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks.